satellite images, and one of them is on your screen right now. And this is Iran, and you can see that there's earth-moving equipment there digging, and they are digging for missile launchers trapped underground amid the ceasefires. Our understanding from these images, front-end loaders can be seen scooping up the rubble from blocked tunnels. Now, keep in mind the context here, right? Yes, you're technically in the middle of a ceasefire, and it's significant that they're digging out the launchers. But also this context, which is the most recent U.S. intelligence assessment that we have, found that about half of Iran's missile launchers were still intact after a month of fighting. So even as the president of the United States says that the war is over, the U.S. has won, that reality, of course, is important. And many of those launchers may have been buried underground, not necessarily on purpose, but by U.S. and Israeli strikes on tunnel entrances, hence the front loaders digging those out.
Private ownership to theft. Also, Vosh, look at these $1 million one-bedroom apartments. The fucked up thing, and I'm being real about this, I'm being so fucking real about this, is that if we lock the fuck in, I genuinely believe that the average American could live in a comparably beautiful setting. I actually believe that. Not exactly the Flatiron, because the Flatiron's like, you know, really famous and expensive, but the like idea that we should all just settle for less is a byproduct of artificial scarcity and inefficient allocation of resources. There are things we could do. We could make the world beautiful. Like if you walk through Paris inside and out, it is a city of unimaginable beauty because they've had the time and the care to build it up as such. You know, it's actually a lot like that in a lot of Beirut or Tehran. It's like that in older cities, you know. It takes time, but you can make like a whole beautiful city. You can make the world beautiful. But like in most of America, we built everything so fast and so cheap that it doesn't feel that way. You know?
So Kareem Sajapur is here with me. So Kareem, what do you see? You know, you look at those images, and obviously, I'm just going to point out the significance that for a while, when the fighting was hot, we weren't getting fresh satellite images. Now we are looking at these. You do see the front-loading equipment by those tunnel entrances, and we know the intelligence about the missile launcher. So what's the significance of Iran doing this right now?
So we're in this strange situation, Aaron, in that we've had this war which has been militarily devastating for Iran.
What about people that don't want to live in large cities? I literally don't care about you. What, you want to live in the sticks? Then build your own house.
Yet at the same time, we've had the most senior level contacts between America and Iran since the 1979 revolution. And when I speak to both parties, both folks in Tehran and here, it's clear that they much prefer to do a deal. I don't think anyone really wants to go back to war. That doesn't mean we're not going to go back to war.
Yes, beautiful Paris built on slavery money. Are you being fucking for real right now? Like the only way you could possibly financially sustain a city like Paris is through slavery, an objectively less efficient way of allocating human labor than post-industrialization modernity? Sorry guys, the only way we could ever build anything was by this system, you know? There's no way that the advent of industrialization and the making of everything more efficient could have possibly contributed to our ability to build cities like Paris. Come on, man.
But I think there's a sense now that the momentum could be shifting more towards a transfer from hot conflict to cold conflict.
Iran is digging for missile launchers. There's satellite imagery showing front-end loaders seen digging rubble,
CNN fear-mongering, by the way. I like, why the fuck would Iran not dig up its missile launchers during a ceasefire? What is the... I'm sorry, has America stopped doing its own military procurement? Does a ceasefire mean that you, like, disarm? What does that mean? Oh, they're getting ready to fight again. Yeah, no shit, because Israel still exists, because America still exists. Why wouldn't they do that?
Up rubble, digging through rubble from those tunnels that had been struck and blocked by U.S. and Israeli forces. Is that to be expected, in your view, in the midst of a ceasefire, or does that indicate something else?
I think we really learned two different things from this activity by the regime. One is that, as everyone expected, we've been enormously effective and successful in the strikes that have been conducted thus far in the conflict. And so if the idea was to reduce the number of ballistic missiles Iran had available to it, both by destroying the missile storage sites...
Is he drunk? He looks like a memory.
...destroying launchers, we've had good success in that regard. At the same time, we also learned that there's a resiliency to this regime, and we've known this. I think we knew it going into it. But they're not going to give up, and they're not easily. And so
Just consistent fear-mongering, resiliency to this regime. Like, how many times are we going to keep doing this over and over again? It's been known for a century, well, about 80 years actually, that strategic bombing does not actually, like, stop a country. You don't actually stop a country by just, like, randomly peppering them. It only hardens their hearts. We've already known this.
They have to dig through the rubble to find launchers and to be able to cobble together systems. They're going to try to do that. And so
Cobble together? What do you mean cobble together? They're trying to recover their damaged military equipment. What the fuck do you mean? Everyone would do this.
some of those targets, if this war goes on much longer, are going to have to be revisited.
Colonel Layton, what do you make for
Going to have to be. Look at these fucking ghoul pieces of shit. Nice ceasefire you've got going on. American media is like, yep, we're going to have to hit them again. Sorry, they fucked up. It's a ceasefire, but they're recovering their military equipment, same as us. Gonna have to hit them again.
all those satellite images? Should anyone be surprised that Iran would be trying to dig out some of its missile launchers from rubble during a ceasefire? That's, I assume, what we would do as well.
Yeah, I think we would do it as well, Anderson, and I think it's not a surprise that the Iranians are doing this. We know for a fact that the Iranians have been preparing to dig themselves out of these kinds of things for a really long time, and now that they've been attacked, and the result is that some of these underground tunnels have been hit, the entrances have been damaged, they are really gearing up to bring back the missile launchers and perhaps other things as well.
Margaret, the president apparently told Maria Bartiromo the war is over. It's a tease for her show tomorrow. He's said such things before, so I guess we'll have to sort of see what that actually means. On the blockade, is that legal? Can the U.S. blockade ports?
Yeah, it's a kind of a complicated scenario. So, of course, during peacetime, a blockade would be squarely illegal. And
We are not legally at war, so yes, it's illegal.
the wartime scenario, a blockade is basically a lawfully recognized act of war. But the significance of that is that we're not technically in a ceasefire if we are actually executing an act of war. So it's a very aggressive act. It basically allows
So it's illegal. Like, by your own definition, it's illegal, yes.
you to use force against ships, against third-party country ships, right? Not just parties to the conflict who are attempting to breach the blockade. It also, as you just talked about with the Colonel, has really redirected a lot of our attention and our focus to the Strait of Hormuz when it seems like there's a lot of activity happening inland that we should probably also be paying attention to.
You're talking about nuclear.
Yes.
Yeah. Colonel Layton, if
Does anyone have a chart for the current spot price of Brent crude? It's impossible to follow anything in the speculative markets now. The fucking retard chimpanzees that run the stock market have driven the price of WTI crude down. I have no idea how much money they're spending shorting the price. I don't know how Iran saying that the ceasefire terms aren't agreeable, possibly. I don't know how a blockade and that possibly translate into a lowering of WTI crude prices, but I'm pretty sure the spot price has not gone down. The fuel crisis continues. It's just unbelievable delusion on the part of the markets. Markets are up. Nothing matters. Buy ammunition. It's the Fed. They're doing QE in the futures market. Do you have an article on that? Did you see that shoe company announced an AI pivot? The stock shot way up because investors are retards. Oh yeah, Allbirds. That shit was funny as fuck. Those ugly fucking tech bro shoes. And they were like, we're now a point-to-point fucking AI service company or something, and their stock quadrupled overnight. Everything is computer. The spot price is still high. I think it's a little bit lower than 140 now, though. Like 130 or something. It's weird the whole media class has bought into the war. It's almost like it was pre-planned. It's not that it was pre-planned. It's just like the media does what the government tells them to. Or at least media does what capital tells them to, and the government does what capital tells them to. So it seems like they're taking the same orders. WSJ article on the current spot price. COD. Okay, dated Brent has still gone down a good bit, but well above futures Brent. I don't know, man. This shit's so fucking stupid. It's important to remember that however slow and grinding things feel right now, in the history books, this will all have happened very quickly. 1.5 months have begun since the war. Sorry, 1.5 months have passed since the war began. Like, in the history books, it'll be like, in the year of 2026, oil spiked 5 times or whatever. But from our perspective, it's like, oh, go up already. Why won't everything blow up? Shit ain't nothing to me, man. That's what I'm saying. Crazy that his term isn't even at 1.5 years. Yep, we're not even halfway through Trump 2. Everything is ground to a halt. What if in some distant parallel universe this resulted in better public transit? Yeah, what if they even built an electrified high-speed rail line running across California? Wouldn't that be cool? Have we reached peak oil? That's not what peak oil means. Empty oil tankers heading to the US and Fox News selling it as good news.
A ship tracking firm reports 121 empty oil tankers are making their way to the United States of America. 68 of those 121 vessels are very large crude carriers capable of carrying 2 million barrels apiece. President Trump has urged countries squeezed by Iran's disruption of the Strait of Hormuz to turn to American energy supplies instead.
Which makes American oil companies rich, but doesn't lower the price of oil. The price of oil is global. It's a global commodity. If the price of oil is more expensive on a global market, it's more expensive domestically too. A common fascist economic tactic is to, well, not just fascist, neoliberal as well, is to pretend that the economic well-being of American industry is the same as the economic well-being for America or for its people. These corporations do not pay nearly enough in taxes, and I promise you that shit is not trickling down to you. Oil companies making money has literally nothing to do with your well-being or with the overall global price of oil. It also makes the local supply more expensive because there will be less of it. The average Americanoid genuinely thinks that, like, even as global oil prices soar, American oil companies will sell domestically at a lower than international price just because. Oh, they could make 120 selling it per barrel on the open market or 80 selling it domestically, and they're going to choose 80 for some reason. Why would they do that? 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 The price in Sri Lanka of a barrel of oil might knock the wind out of your lungs. A physical barrel of oil recently sold in Sri Lanka for $286? I hope that's like an outlier. I hope that just they had a really stupid guy on the oil procurement that day, and he was like, I'll pay literally anything. That's not sustainable. That's not real. That it would have to sell at like 69 to match pre-Iran war prices. How wrong you are, bucko. Oil was fucking low, dude. Look at this. Well, I guess I'm thinking like before Trump. At the beginning of the year, oil was at $58 or thereabouts a barrel. And right before the Iran war, yeah, it was at 66. So I guess you're right. But yeah, pretty bad. Almost 80% of Southern farmers report not being able to afford the fertilizer they need due to price increases. All in favor of, during the great food shortage, farmers being the first ones to starve, say aye. Sorry, you stupid piece of shit. Should have been better at farming. Fulfill your procure. We have to treat them like feudal serfs, you know? They need to pay their grain dole, and if they can't, they don't get to eat either. Everything goes to the king, and everything left over, they get to eat. The king, parentheses, people outside of Bakersfield. Percentage of farmers who pre-book fertilizer, only 19% in the southern region. I guess that's reflective of their, like, I don't know, general intelligence as determined by their voting patterns. 19% of southern farmers pre-bought their fertilizer. Damn, well, we'll give you a crash course in business lessons, you know. We'll show you why it's important to plan out your cargo. Ooh, baby. And I'll get it on Amazon. I'll spot order that shit. I've got Prime. Where's Kowalski? Hopefully not here. Don't need to get yelled at. Damn, no one's pre-booking for the damn cotton or rice. All right, well. Oil, fertilizer, fake money, cash.